since the sexual revolution, we have had this press towards gender parity, right? Or this idea that men and women there's your ought and should be equal. And I will tell you right now, equality is a false god and has been so for quite some time. I really threw the audience on Dr. Phil for a loop when I said I don't believe in equality. And people were like, "Oh my God!" Was his wife Robin McGraw was like this the whole time? Exactly. It was like blasphemy because that's the religion. The religion is equality, right? We should all be more equal. We're all equal in the sight of the Lord. That kind of stuff. No, we're not. No, we aren't. There are people who are more respectable than other people. There are people who are homeless out here on the streets right now, and then there's people who are at the top of the win right now who are more respectable than those guys. It's just simply the reality that we live in. Are we all equal value, towards God and whatever? Okay, we can make that case. But we're living right here on planet Earth, and I will tell you right now, it is not. There's no such thing as equality, because what we've done is we've taken the idea of equality and we've turned it into, religion first of all, but second of all is we've turned equality into this sort of ambiguous, what you say when you don't know what to say kind of thing, and. So whenever I'm talking about equality, like people say, well, why don't you believe in equality? I say, well, what's the conditions? Because the equality you're talking about right now happens in a vacuum. The one I'm talking about, it happens right here on planet Earth, and there are definitely some advantages and disadvantages that people have. And so the idea, I think, of sort of gender equality or racial equality or economic equality or let's attach equality to any prefix, right? It's not that I don't think that it's a great idea. It's just simply untenable. So when somebody says, "Well, what do you mean by there's no such thing as equality?" So, well, if I, as a human 56-year-old male, want to have a child right now and I want to bear it myself and give birth, I can't do that because it's physically impossible for me to do this. Oh, that's very unequal and unfair. I want to be more equal, right? Well, sorry, that's not going to happen for you. Okay, that's just one really stupid, over the top, exaggerated illustration of this, but it illustrates a point that there are certain conditions. What is the challenge of equality that you're saying, right? I'm not going to play power forward for the Knicks. I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen in my lifetime. Okay, that seems horribly unequal, right? When I listen to Megan Rapinoe on the the female women's soccer team, right, talking about how they wanted equality and they wanted to have to be paid the same. Well, you're not playing in the same game as the guys that are. As the men are, and of course, what happens is actually they're getting the team is getting paid more. They're getting overpaid by rate of comparison, because of the market that they're in. The market that women's soccer is in, they're actually being paid more, respectively, than the men are in men's soccer. And it takes an economist and an actuary to figure that stuff out. But when you see it in black and white, let's move on to the scroll. Keep scrolling, But as far as equality is concerned, I would say, okay, do you believe in equality? Well, under what terms? Let's clarify this. Are we talking about women in sports? Are we talking about equality in gender athletes in same-sex sports? Is that the equality that we're talking about? Is it me giving birth? Is it because when you just throw out the word, well, everybody should be equal, you're getting into egalitarianism, and egalitarianism, as I said, is one of those isms, and it's an ideology. I make a distinction when you're talking about gynocentrism and you're talking about how things have become a little bit more feminine. I call it the feminine imperative in my books, but gynocentrism, because we have differing ideas when it comes to there are terms and terminologies that are gendered terms. So one of those is respect. And I have a point to this, but when one of those is respect, there's two. If you go and you look in the definition, the dictionary definition of the word respect, there's two definitions. One is the one we probably would think, well, what makes you respectable? It's merit-based. You have to have achieved something. You have to have done something for it, like you to respect a man. Okay, well, what have you done that makes you respectable? Why should I respect you, right? Are you, whatever your accomplishments happen to be, whatever your body of work happens to be, that's a merit-based hierarchical version of respect. That's the male version of respect. The second definition is everybody deserves respect. Everybody, it's common courtesy.
Kind of like human dignity.
Exactly. And everybody, you should treat everyone with respect. Those for the same word, those two definitions are diametrically opposed to each other. But yet, when somebody says I think it was, they have a new minister of changing men's behavior in Australia right now.
Oh, wow.
It was just made the news. Literally, there's a cabinet position for changing men's behavior. And I forget the guy's name.
I take it that's not equal enough.
As soon as I saw that, I found that guy's Twitter. I'm like, game on. So I went after this dude because he was saying, well, we need to start by respecting, men need to start by respecting women. I said, well, what definition of respect are we talking about? Are we talking about the hierarchical or are we talking about
definition of woman?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So and then I try and explain the difference and the reason why there's gendered concepts. There's other gendered concepts, but respect is the easiest one because it relates to egalitarianism. So when we complain and we talk about how that we have this participation trophy generation, and it's like everybody gets to feel good about themselves, and it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It just means we all got.
It's very female coded.
That's very female. Well, because when we evolved from hunter gatherer tribes, men were hierarchical. Because to be the chief, to be the best hunter, to be rewarded by women's attention and their sexual interest in you, you had to be better than the next guy. So guys are innately, naturally evolved to be more hierarchical. So when you see how men organize society, it's always hierarchical. There's like if you look at chain of command in the military, there's the general and there's a lieutenant and then there's a sergeant and all down the chain of command to the private, right? If you look at how we organize the workplace, there's the CEO, the CFO, the COO, all the way down until you get to the janitor, right? And for sports teams, there's a captain of the team, yada, yada. Men think in terms of hierarchy. Women think in terms of the round. They're communitarian. Men are more interested in things. Women are more interested in people. Well, the reason for that is because women are the vulnerable sex. They're the ones who have to gestate the next, generation of kids. Eggs are expensive. Sperm is cheap. Men protect women because women are the vulnerable sex, right? Well, there's strength in numbers too. So if you have women in this it takes a village to raise a child, right? You've heard that. So you have this community, this communitarian society. So when women organize society, it's almost socialist, or for lack of a better term, socialist, communitarian. When men organize society, it's the general, the lieutenant, all the way down to the private, right? So it's organized hierarchically. Right now, I think one of the things that when you're talking about why is it, why do we have such a problem with all this stuff? Yeah, what you're saying is because women have a different definition of what how we should organize society. Egalitarian, where respect means one for you and one for you and one for you, and June, you're pregnant, so here's two for you, and then it's very communist, right? It's like from each's strengths to each's needs. I'm probably butchering
from each according to his abilities
to each according to their needs, right? Yeah. And by the way, that concept, that's a Marxist concept. Yes. That Marxist concept has filtered into our marriage